Plastic Pipe Shop, and in this video we're going to have a look at the difference between a reducing socket and a reducing bush. This is something that often people get confused with. A reducing socket is a one-piece fitting which has a socket on one end and a socket on the other end. So if we're wanting to reduce a pipe in a straight line, we can glue a pipe straight into one end and we can glue a smaller pipe straight into the other end. A reducing bush is different. A reducing bush is a shorter fitting which only has a socket on one side to glue the pipe in. So if, for example, we wanted to have the same result as our reducing socket, we'd need to get a second fitting which is a plain socket, glue our reducing bush in, and then it'll do the same thing as our one-piece reducing socket. So we've now got a pipe that can get glued in here and a smaller pipe that can get glued in here. So for speed, a reducing socket is quicker because it's a one-piece fitting we can just glue our pipe into, whereas a reducing bush we need to glue it into the socket, so it's an extra fitting which needs glued in. Bizarrely, reducing bushes and socket in combination are usually cheaper than a reducing socket, because reducing sockets are only made by a couple of manufacturers and they're quite expensive. Where a reducing bush really comes into its own is if we want to reduce a branch on a T or on an elbow or after a union, in which case we can just glue the reducing bush straight into the T branch, in which case we now have, in this instance, our 63mm pipe which is running through from either end and our 50mm pipe which is coming out. If we're gluing into a fitting other than a socket, then use a reducing bush. However, if we're going in a straight line, then have a look at the price of the reducing sockets because they can save you time. Some people like to use reducing sockets because they think it gives them a smoother flow rather than having two fittings. But in fact, the profile of a reducing bush here has a chamfered profile on it, and so it actually gives you a better head loss profile than using a reducing socket which has a much straighter edge on it, and so therefore will create more turbulence in your water system. So there we have it, the difference between a reducing bush and a reducing socket. Thanks for watching. Bye.